Hello everyone, my name is Sumit and today I am going to show you a video demonstration on creating realistic grasses for any kind of a natural scene in Blender. I will be using Cycles Render engine in Blender and the aim of my video will be to create an asset pack where I will be creating different variations of grasses and then assigning them as a group and then save them as a separate blend file, so that when I am using or when I am rendering some natural scene and I need grasses to be input there, I'll just link my asset pack there and use them as a particle system and then have my render done, thus saving me much time and money. So in order to achieve as much realism as possible, we won't be actually using color input in my mesh here. Instead, I will be importing an image texture that I have taken through my mobile camera, and then plug that image texture into the materials of my grass leaf, so there will be a much more realism rather than that of creating an artificial color. So let us get back to work and let us open Blender. So here I have opened my Blender. I'm using Blender 2.79 and let us get started by just clicking away here. So the first and foremost thing that I will be doing is to turn on my screencast key, so whatever I am doing will be displayed right here. So hitting N and dragging down, I'll be just clicking on the screencast key start display, and then I will be selecting every default objects present in my default Blender scene here and deleting them because I don't need any of them right now. So I'm deleting them, and then I'll be adding a background image here and add image, go to my desktop as I have saved my image there, select this one and open image. Now in order to view this background image that I have just input here, I'll be going to the orthographic mode by hitting numpad 5 and then go to front orthographic mode by hitting numpad 1. So now you can see that my background image is loaded. Let me turn my opacity a little bit so that I can see the material. So you can see that the material is applied very good. Here it is actually a photo that I have taken from my phone. You can even take a picture right from your DSLR camera. And I've selected my background image and just deleted it and have a transparent background here. So now I'll be setting my image according to my workflow. So at first I'll be rotating it along the z-axis, or sorry, the y-axis to be minus 90 degrees so that it stands vertically, and then I'll be aligning it along the z-axis and then the x-axis so that the base of this grass stands right at the center of my 3D cursor. So dragging it along the z-axis right about there until I'm satisfied, and then holding shift and then dragging it along the y-axis to have a smooth scrolling here, smooth swift movement here. Now I'm satisfied with my alignment here. Now having these preliminary things done, I'll be adding a mesh here, add mesh, here I'll be adding a plane and then rotate it along the x-axis to about 90 degree. And then in order to view this, in order to look through my mesh, I'll be hitting wireframe by hitting Z, and then I'll be going into edit mode by hitting tab. Now I want the origin of my mesh here to be around the base, not at the center. So in this tab mode, I'll be dragging along the z-axis until the base of my mesh meets with the origin of my mesh here. Then selecting these two vertices, I'll scale it down until it aligns with my image here, and then again selecting these two top edges here, these two top vertices here, drag it along the z-axis again to align with properly with my top of the background image, and then scale it down, and then move it along the y-axis. Just have a good edge flow here. Now in order to have this kind of an uneven edge flow, I'll be adding some loop cuts here. These loop cuts will give a definition to my grass leaf here. Now I'll be adding another loop cut right here, because from here the grass has been grown to wider range. Now I'll be doing a tedious task of selecting each and every vertices and aligning along the edge flow of my background image. So I'll be putting this on a time lapse, so enjoy this one. Okay, so now that you can see that I have aligned all the vertices along with the edge flow of my background image. Now I'll be adding another loop cut here vertically and give it a little bit of a depth so that these look like a curved mesh here. As you can see, it has got a good curvature here. Now what I'll be doing is go to my object mode. I do not need my background image right now anymore, so I'm just clicking it off, and then apply rotation and scale to my mesh here, and then go to the tab mode and hitting each and every vertices here. What I'll be doing is I'll be UV unwrapping my mesh, so that the same background image that I had loaded in order to create this mesh will be I want that the material of that very image to be unwrapped along my mesh here. So I'll be dividing my viewport into two divisions. Select this one as UV image editor. Now you can see that the UVs have been unwrapped here, all the vertices has been unwrapped here, and here I will be selecting this image as my materials or my UV background, and again there will be a tedious task of joining each and every vertices of these UVs along with the edge flow of my background image. So the first one I will be rotating it to 90 degree and then move it by hitting G to around the center, and then select each and every vertices here, move it by pressing G and hovering my mouse over the area where I want my vertices to be, and then scale it down so that it gets aligned properly with my background image. Let me again put this on a time lapse for your convenience. So now that you can see that I have aligned my UVs along along with the edge flow of my background image, so I do not need my UV image editor anymore. So I'll be closing this viewport here, and let us continue. So before we go any further, let me at first save this project. I'll be saving this on desktop as grass.blend for future usage of these grasses. Now you can see that my grass is standing tall like a building, and in reality grass don't stand like this. There is a good curvature going around the mesh here. So what I'll be doing, I'll be going into the edit mode again, select this top vertices, turn on my proportional editing by hitting O, and then just move along the y-axis, and you can see that there is a little circle which is present there. Let me undo this one and let me snap back my 3D cursor to the center. What I did is Shift C, snapping my 3D cursor back to the center. I'll be increasing my radius of my proportional editing by just holding the left mouse button and scrolling my mouse wheel down. You can see that the circle is increasing in its radius. Here I'll be just increasing my proportional editing until I'm satisfied. With this one. Move it along the y-axis and then rotate it along the x-axis so that there is a nice curvature which is going on here. Maybe even moving it along the y-axis even more, and then selecting this vertex, just moving it along the y-axis a little bit. Now that you can see that there is a good curve created here, but my grass is not looking like a grass anymore. Here I will be defining my grass with the two different modifiers. The first one will be a solidify modifier, which will give some sort of a thickness to it. The thickness that I think would be good for the grasses would be 0.005. It gives a very little thickness as grass normally has. And then I will be adding a subsurf modifier and cranking it up to level 2 and then select smooth shading. Now you can see that my grass has got a good smoothness in its flow. And then I'll be hitting on edit mode and selecting every vertices here. Turn off my proportional editing by again hitting O and then move it along the y-axis so that there is a little bit of a difference between the actual mesh and the origin point. Maybe rotate along the x-axis a little bit so that the base stands vertically here. Now all I have to do is apply my materials here, and then my single grass leaf would be created. At first let me rename this as a grass leaf, because I will be duplicating this grass leaf in order to create various types of grasses here. So selecting this one, renaming this one as grass leaf, let me divide my viewport again to two different divisions, and this time I will be selecting a node editor as my second editing display. Here I will be clicking on the new button, which will automatically give a diffuse material to my grass, but grasses do not have 100% diffuse materials in it. What I'll be doing, I will be adding that image texture that I have taken from my phone camera and plugging the output to the input of the color of my diffuse BSDF and select that single grass leaf to be the color input of my grass. So in order to view how is my grass looking, let me at first put a lamp. A sun lamp would be good for this testing. I can see that the material is applied, but the grass is not looking that kind of realistic because of the lack of glossiness or reflection as well as translucency. So what I'll be doing, I will be adding a mix shader, and then the second input of my shader would be a glossy shader. Here you can see that it is the very time that I plugged my glossy shader into the second shader here, things have gone wrong, because now it is not looking like a grass, rather it is looking like a plastic thing or something like that, a very shiny material here. But grasses do not have that kind of reflection going around it. It only gets 2% of the reflection of what sun lamp reflects on it. So I'll be giving it 0.02 of the factor, giving it 2% reflection, very little reflection indeed here, and then duplicating this mix shader here and This time I will be adding a third shader, which will be a translucency shader, and this time I will be giving a factor output of about 0.1, that means 10% translucency, 2% of the glossiness, and the rest would be diffuse material. Having these things done, I do not need my node editor right now anymore, so I'll be closing it. So my single grass leaf has been done. Let me save this project. Having this work done, I will be duplicating these grass leaves to create variations of my grasses. For the convenience, right now I am hiding my sun lamp here and moving this grass leaf to about here and then moving it to a different layer. From the different layer I am duplicating this one and moving it to the first layer, so that if accidentally I accidentally join my grass leaf to form one type of grass, and then I'm at wit's end, so I have a backup of my grass leaf at a separate layer. Now I will be snapping my mesh back to the 3D cursor. In order to do that, I will be adding Shift S, selection to cursor, and then my mesh is back to my 3D cursor or the center of my grid flow. Now I will be rotating it along the x-axis a little bit, maybe even scaling it down, and then Shift D to duplicate and rotate along the z-axis, moving it like here. You can see, and now scaling it down, maybe rotate it even more, and then go to tab mode and then give it a different in its form. Rotating it again, then going back, then again selecting both of these meshes, Shift D to duplicate, rotate along the z-axis, and then doing the same process, repetition of the same process here, maybe scaling it a little bit down, then going to edit mode and then give it a random structure here, then selecting this one, giving it a random structure again. So again selecting each and every meshes, Shift D to duplicate, rotate along the z-axis, and I will be continuing this process until I am satisfied of creating my grass here. This thing is totally depending on your eyes. When you are satisfied with your creation of the grasses, you can leave. I'm not yet satisfied, so I'll be doing some more of the variations here, and again selecting each and everything, duplicating them, rotate along the z-axis, maybe scaling a little bit high, and yeah, now that I am satisfied with my grass structure, now what I'll be doing, I'll be selecting each and every of the mesh here and then drag it along the x-axis a little bit so that there is a clumpiness in the base, maybe with the Y also. Now I will be selecting any of the mesh here. Now you can see that all the meshes that are selected are red except for this one, because this is the parent. So I'll just pressing Ctrl J to join this entire mesh as one single mesh. You can see that entire mesh has been joined to make it a one single mesh. Having this done, I will be renaming it as grass type 1. So my type 1 grass has been created. Let me unhide my sun lamp and let me give it a quick viewport render. Now you can see that it is looking quite good, not bad really. Let me hide this again and selecting this one, scaling it down a little bit and applying rotation and scale here, moving it somewhere like this, and then move it to this layer again. Then again going to the second layer where I have kept my single grass leaf, then again duplicating it and moved it along to the first layer where I will be editing the different types of grass right now. So again snapping it back to the ready cursor. Now I will be rotating it even more along the x-axis, maybe even scaling it down a little bit, duplicating it, rotating along the z-axis, creating some more variations by just doing the same process that I did before, and then selecting both of them, duplicating it, rotating along the z-axis, and then even rotating it down, scaling it down, maybe scaling it up, and giving some sort of a randomness in its structure. This does not take too much of the time because it's actually very easy to create this kind of a mesh. Once you have created with once you have done with your original best mesh, you can create a lot of variations if you want. So again shift deleting, rotating along the z-axis and then scaling it down. Maybe this time I will be scaling it along the x-axis and even y-axis as well, rotating along like this, and yeah, that pretty much gets satisfactory results for me. So again selecting every single mesh, and now you can just hitting Ctrl J to join them as another different mesh here, single mesh here, and this time I will be renaming it as grass type 2. Having this done, let me scale this again down a little bit and then applying rotation and scale, then again doing the same job. Having this second mesh done, let me move it to the second layer again. Now as I've created two different types of grasses, I will be creating the third type of grass, and this time I will be not only adding a grass but also there will be a stem here, a little plant-like structure. So I'll be shift D to duplicate this one, move it to the first layer, then again go to the second layer, then the same tedious process of selecting or snapping my selection to the cursor. This time there will be a little bit of a variation here, rotating along the x-axis, scaling it down. This time I will be adding a stem to create some plant-like structure here. So in order to create a stem, I will be adding a cube here, because it when I am rendering a grass, whether I am rendering it with a cube or a cylinder, it doesn't even matter. So I'll be scaling it down but locking the z-axis here, scaling it down but locking the z-axis here by hitting shift Z. So my cube will be scaled according to x-axis and y-axis, and the z-axis will remain intact. So I'll be giving it a very little thickness here. As you can see, it has got a very little thickness in its body. Going to the tab mode, turning my proportional editing off for now. I will be doing the same process again, keeping my origin to the base of this mesh and then selecting on this transverse or transparent selection. Let me deselect everything. With the box selection, I will be selecting the top edge here and drag it along the z-axis to get a tall stem-like structure, and then I will be adding some loop cuts here. Maybe this loop cuts is good. Then selecting some of the edge flow with the box selection, turning my proportional editing on, and then dragging it along the y-axis, maybe rotate along the x-axis like this, or even I can do it even bit bigger. A selection, and again selecting this one like this, rotate it along the x-axis, and then scale it down so that it looks like a tapered stem, as natural stem really does. And now I will be selecting this leaf, drag it along the z-axis, and just put it with alignment with the stem here. Maybe scale down a little bit to give it a leaf-like structure, maybe rotating along the x-axis a little bit, and then duplicating it along and rotating it along the z-axis, turn it up a little bit, and then again scaling it down, just giving it a random leaf-like structure there. And then again dragging it the same process that I'll be doing here, rotating it along the z-axis like this. And here I will be adding some sort of a poppy-like structure. So with my box selection on, selecting these three edge flow, having my median point here, hitting Shift S and selecting a cursor to select it will automatically snap my 3D cursor to the median point of these three edge flow. So let me get out of the edit mode and let me add some icosphere here, and let's scale it down a little bit. Maybe this one is good, and maybe even scaling it down a little bit even more, duplicating it and putting it over there, and then again selecting this two, duplicating it, moving it along the z-axis, scaling it a little bit down, and then properly aligning along the y-axis so that the poppies or whatever I have created here, I don't know whatever I have created here, but it looks beautiful, will perfectly align with my stem edge flow. Now selecting one of the icosphere, let me give some materials here. So I'll be going to the node editor again, and this time with the diffuse color I will be just adding a little bit of a yellow tint and selecting every other poppies or icosphere, and then finally selecting the icosphere in which the materials are applied. If I'm hitting Ctrl L and then clicking on the materials, automatically every icosphere has been linked with the same material that I have input in this icosphere. Having these things done, let me select this stem and give it a material as well. Here also I'll be using the same color or the same shader that I had done with my grass leaves. I'll be adding a mix shader, and then I'll be adding a glossy shader, but I won't be adding any translucent shader because stem has got some sort of a translucent shader, but this is not so important here. And I'll be giving it a factor of about 10% of the glossiness will be here, and selecting the color output to about like this. Let me see whether it is actually aligning with the color scheme of my leaf. Yeah, somewhat close, somewhere close it is. So let me again go back to my 3D view, and having these things done, join each and every one of them by hitting Ctrl J. So this time I'll be renaming dash grass type 3. Okay, so applying rotations. Sorry, at first let me scale it down a little bit and then applying rotation and scale. So now my 3 different types of grasses have been created. Let me move these two grasses to the first layer as well. Let me go to the first layer. Now you can see that 3 different types of grasses have been formed. Now if you want a variation in the color, all you have to do is select these grasses one by one, shift D to duplicate this one, move it along, move it wherever you want, and then go to the node editor once again, and then over here go to the materials tab, click on this button in order to give it a independent nodes or material nodes here, so leaving every other meshes unaffected. And if you want to have a color variation, all you have to do is add a color hue saturation, which will enable a different type of color scheme here. Now some of the grasses, as I have found, naturally they have got yellow tint in them, so adding 0.45 of the hue will give a nice yellow tint. And then selecting this one again by shift D, moving it here, clicking on this to give it an independent material, then again go to hue saturation, add hue saturation, maybe 0.4 is enough for it. So in order to see this one, let me bring my sun lamp once again. By hitting Alt H, I have unhidden, I have again revealed my sun lamp, and if I am going to the viewport render by hitting Shift Z, you can see that the grasses have taken its shape, and it's not looking too bad, is it? So let me delete this sun lamp, I do not need it, and my leaf blade as well. So here you can see that my grass pack has been created, but I have created 5 different types of grasses. So I'll be selecting each and every one of the grasses here by hitting A and then Ctrl G to make it a group, and in the group I will be renaming it as grass pack, and save the blend file. Now that my group has been created, now let us test whether my grasses are looking really realistic or not. So in order to test, let us go to a fresh blend file by hitting Ctrl N. I'll be reloading starter file. Now that we have been directed to a fresh new blend file, let me again turn on the screencast key for the convenience, and let me hit N again. I'll be deleting this cube. Instead I'll be adding a plane as usual to create a land and scale it around 8 multiplication, and then hitting on the camera, I'll be aligning my camera to somewhat a good position so that when I'm rendering it, it will look good and I'm satisfied with this angle. And then hitting on this and then selecting this lamp, I'll be changing this lamp from point to sun, use nodes, and then increase the strength to about 2, and then I will go to my world settings. Again I'll be using nodes, and the color output I'll be selecting this little box right here, and I'll be selecting sky texture, and the strength I want is to give 4. I'll be giving it a 4 strength. So now if I'm again hitting viewport render, you can see that the scene is quite bright here, and I'll be giving my land a material as well. So going to the node editor, a very simple material I will be giving here, just a very dark brown like color as if it is made of dirt. Yeah, this is looking good here. Now I will be importing my grass pack that I have created just now into this scene. So in order to link those blend files, all I have to do is go to file and then click on the link and then go to desktop, as it is where I've saved this one. Click on this glass and then group, and then select this glass pack and select link from library. Automatically you will see that my glasses has been linked here. So I'll be moving it to layer 2 so that there won't be any visibility here, and selecting on this land, let me give it a randomness in its surface. I'll be subdividing it a couple of times by hitting W. I'll be subdividing it about 25 times, and then give it a fractal as well, about 0.02, so that there is a jagged like structure around my mesh. And then I'll be going here to my particles tab, hit on new to create new particle system, click on the tab, change the type from emitter to about here, change the number to about 100 for now, and then click on the advanced for advanced setting here, and then right down in the renders tab I'll be selecting group, and duplicate group will be my glass pack. You can see that my glasses are lying down. In order to solve this issue, all we have to do is enable this rotation, and then clicking on this arrow, just selecting my input orientation to about initial orientation about global Z. Automatically it will stand, all the glasses will stand up. Now this is not looking realistic because glasses have got its own independent movements. So at first let me give a randomness to its size, because every glasses are looking same size. So I'll be using 0.5 as randomness in its sizes. Some of the glasses have now gone smaller than the other glasses, and then I will be increasing Brownian as well to about 0.02, so there's an independent movement to each and every lips of the glass. And then here I'll be adding a very little randomness, about 0.02 or even 0.05 is good, to give it a very little randomness in the rotation of the glasses. Now having these things done, let me increase the number around 1000 as it was, and no, even let me give it a 5000 render. Okay, yeah, 5000 render would be good, because it will resemble a grassy meadow or something like that. And let us give it a quick render. I'll be tweaking some of the settings with my render here in order to have a speedy render. Instead of having 500 samples, I will be using 100 samples, or even less than 100 samples. Maybe 50 samples is enough. Okay, so but it will be better to have 100 samples so that the image may come out clearly. And okay, let us hit F12, let us render it, and I will be pausing my video right now. Okay, so now that we have finished our rendering, it took about 4.5 minutes to render this one, and now you can see that it's not looking quite bad, is it? So now I've used 100 samples to render this image. You can also increase your samples, and it's looking quite nice here. So that's it, that concludes the tutorial. Hope you guys like it. If you really like my video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and feel free to add comment to the comment section, and I will be uploading much more videos, amazing videos like this. So yeah, that concludes the tutorial. Have peace. Bye.